The other thing that I want to get done today, there's a couple more things I want to get done today. One is that I want to make a dummy nose just as a placeholder because it's going to help me make other decisions about angles and forms because it's really hard to look at your pictures or your model and ignore the nose, right? So check it out. What I want to look at for this is, do I have the space between the eyes, right, this nasal bone, do I have that at the same relative width that light falls, not the space between the tear ducts, right? Because all of this is really, not the space between the tear ducts, because all of this in here is very hollow. I'm looking at the light on the nose. Do I have that bone here relatively the same as that little strip of light right there? Okay? If so, great. If not, I'm going to take some out of my sockets until I do. Do I have the base of my nose measurement right? Yes? Okay, great. So, the last thing I'm going to look at before I even start is I'm going to look at the side view, and I'm going to notice something. The nose, right, the nasal bone doesn't start at the brow ridge, and it doesn't start below. It starts kind of here. And look how from the brow, there's a little divot that moves back in, right? So I'm going to go ahead and create that little divot. I'm going to look at it, it's more and less pronounced on different people, but I'm going to look at that shape right there and bring that in. And then all I'm going to do is create a little type of triangular ridge, right? That is as wide as I'm going to create a little wedge and stick it on there, and it's just as wide as the space between the eyes, the nasal bone. It has no nostrils at all. This is like a placeholder. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is draw on the contour that I want. Okay, which is I can go right here and I can pull that angle. I can literally, if I have all my hands, take the angle with my knife and bring it directly over, mark it on the clay, and then look, most of the time the bottom of the nose angles up. And I'm measuring from the septum. Okay? So angles up, and I'll start that right where I made my measurement. Okay? And I can just cut that clay off. So, it's not a fully formed nose, but it has the basic angles and the basic size to placehold so that as I am working around my piece, I can say, oh yeah, how does that feel in relationship to that? How does that feel in relationship to that? How does that feel in relationship to that? Okay? And then you can just double check, you can double check your angles. I'm not doing anything more, I'm not touching it anymore, I'm not adding nostrils. Just making it a little more smooth. Right. So, last thing I want, there's two more things I want to do. Sorry. Or, let's say three more things I want to do. One is I want to look at this line. This is called the nasolabial fold, aka the smile line. And I want to look at where it exists in relationship to the mouth barrel. Okay? And what it is the corner of the cheek. Right here, I'm going to look at that angle, and again, I can take that directly over, and it's right, look at the distance here, right above the nose, and I can mark that on either side. And then what I want to do is make sure that I have that line established, and I'm going to cut that clay out. Because what this is going to do is start to give us a nice sweep of the cheek as opposed to the roundness of the teeth. Okay? See that? So again, that move is I mark the contour from the front view, and then, right, I'll just come in and remove that plane. So I'm starting to wrap, essentially like wrap the smile line back in space. Okay? And that's going to give me a little tooth barrel overflow. Okay. Last thing we need to do, like the very last thing, I'm going to move the camera down a little bit. And this again has to do with, and you must do this, right? Is to start to figure out what you want to do for the face. Do you want to include shoulders? Do you want to just have a neck on a base, right? It doesn't really matter if you have a fully formed idea or not, but what you need to do is to start to really add that material. So the first thing I'm going to do is add that sternocleidomastoidus, right? I'm going to start to flesh out the neck just a little by adding a big massive plate that goes in there, right? We talked about that muscle a little bit. And I'm adding that not because I'm going to like start really forming the neck, but because I want it on there because it's a big massive plate, right? So it's just like a kind of a thick fat ribbon that just moves around from the base of the skull all the way around the front and connects down at the bottom. So when you're looking at the side view, right, this line should be that line. And that's how far that's going to wrap in. And then below that, I'm just going to start adding play and massing it up. And if you know what type of base you want to go for, great. If you don't know what type you want a base to go for, great. But you must add a whole lot of play. Okay? If you get to the point where you've added as much as you want, but there's still space between here and the base plate of the armature stand, then there is foam around the room, like pink foam, sour foam, something like that you can put in below it to help support the play. But like I said, everything is still this building method, right? Stick it and wick it and stick it. Press it and stick it. So I'm going to add, you cannot do this either. This is not good. Do not put the clay on and squeeze it around. It's bad. It will trap air. And also, it will dry out instantly. Like you actually need to build quite a bit of mass onto the neck. So you're going to use a ton of clay today. Maybe you're going to cut half of this back off and use it on the head next time. That's fine. But it's got to be up there today so that its hydration is staying the same. And honestly, all this clay down here is also protecting all your hard work up here. So I'm just going to continue to add. I'm probably going to add like a pretty big chunk. The size of the panel is with the clay. Okay. So I'll have a nice big wad of clay to work with when I get it on the face. If you decide you want to approach shoulders, what that requires, remember, that's the forward. Remember how the deltoid that we looked at earlier was way behind the head? Right? Look at where that shoulder is relative to the head. So I've got to build back. What happens is the trapezius comes down off the back of the neck and angles back and stays. Clavicle comes from the front back to the shoulder girdle back here. But if I want to add shoulders, then what I first got to do is build back. Build back and then out. Okay? And then out to the window. Shoulders are really awesome to add, by the way. They really kind of like finish the naturalism of the portrait. Collars are really fun to make, necklaces, stuff like that. It's really fun to make. It's pretty classic. Classical way to treat the head. So, you're going to mass on the hair. You're going to mass on the sternocleidomastoidus on the neck, and then also start to put in the big chunks of clay that are going to be for whatever style of base you're going to. Sound good?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's roughing 2.0.